In Alaska, the animal that kills you may not be hunting you. A brown bear can erupt from brush beside a salmon stream. A polar bear can enter a coastal village through blowing snow. But a moose can step onto a highway at windshield height, or defend a newborn calf in the middle of a neighborhood. Between 2023 and 2025, Alaska recorded a fatal polar bear attack, a photographer killed during an encounter with a cow moose, and a driver killed after striking a moose near Denali. 3 very different encounters, and one important lesson. Danger in Alaska is not measured only by teeth. Today, we are ranking 13 of the state's most dangerous animals by real human risk. That means encounter probability, injury severity, overlap with roads and communities, difficulty of escape, and how often people misread the warning signs. Some animals on this list are predators, some carry disease, some become dangerous because people, dogs, vehicles, food, or bad visibility bring them too close. And the animal at number 1 is not Alaska's largest carnivore. It is the animal people meet again and again. We begin with a creature whose reputation is much more frightening than its actual record with humans. At number 13 is the wolverine. Few northern animals have inspired more exaggerated stories. The wolverine has powerful jaws, curved claws, tremendous endurance, and a body designed to move through deep snow. It can travel extraordinary distances in a single day, tear into frozen carcasses, and defend food against smaller scavengers. That combination has created the image of an animal willing to attack anything. But the real wolverine is far less reckless. Wolverines live at low densities, use enormous home ranges, and normally avoid people. They also avoid larger predators such as wolves and bears because those encounters can be fatal for the wolverine itself. Even many people who spend their lives in Alaska's backcountry will never see one. A trapped, wounded, or cornered wolverine could still cause severe bites and claw injuries. It is compact, muscular, and difficult to control at close range. But this ranking is based on exposure as well as capability. And exposure to wild wolverines is extremely low. The wolverine takes 13th place. It may be one of Alaska's fiercest animals in folklore, but in real life, it is far more likely to disappear into the snow than move toward a person. At number 12, the danger comes from an animal and the terrain beneath its feet. The mountain goat is not a predator. It has no venom and no interest in hunting anything. But it is a powerful animal armed with sharp black horns, living on cliffs, narrow ledges, broken rock, and steep, snow-covered slopes where a person may have nowhere safe to retreat. Mountain goats are found through parts of south-central and southeast Alaska. Hikers, climbers, photographers, and hunters may encounter them on routes that feel wide enough for a human, but function as travel corridors for wildlife. Most goats will keep their distance when given a choice. The problem begins when someone approaches too closely, blocks an escape route, moves between a female and her kid, or tries to pass on a narrow section of terrain. On flat ground, a defensive lunge is dangerous. On a ledge, it can be catastrophic. The horns may cause puncture wounds, but the greater risk may be the step backward that follows. Loose rock, ice, or a steep drop can turn a brief confrontation into a rescue situation far from immediate help. Goats may also become unusually tolerant around popular trails, especially where they are attracted to salts left by people. Tolerance is easy to mistake for tameness. It is not. The mountain goat takes 12th place because direct attacks are uncommon, but its strength, horns, and habitat remove the margin for error. In Alaska's high country, an animal does not always have to knock you down. Sometimes it only has to make you step the wrong way. At number 11, we move from the mountains to Alaska's docks, fishing ports, rocky islands, and cold coastal water. The Steller sea lion is the largest sea lion in the world. A mature male can weigh well over 1,000 pounds. It has a thick neck, powerful jaws, surprising speed in the water, and enough mass to cause severe injury without behaving like a land predator. Most people see Steller sea lions from boats, or from a safe distance near haulouts. Problems begin when a dock, fishing vessel, or shoreline brings people into the same confined space. Sea lions may climb onto floats and platforms to rest. The smell of bait, fish, or discarded catch can bring them close to boats, nets, and people working near the water. On land, a sea lion can look slow and awkward. That impression can change in seconds. A large animal may lunge if approached, react when its route to the water is blocked, or move directly through a space a person assumed was safe. In the water, the difference in speed and power is even greater. Serious attacks are rare, which keeps the Steller sea lion low in this ranking. But when an animal that heavy is only a few feet away, rarity offers very little protection. The Steller sea lion takes 11th place. On Alaska's coast, a relaxed animal is still a wild animal, and a dock is not neutral ground simply because people built it. At number 10 is an animal many visitors are surprised to learn lives in Alaska at all: the American bison. Alaska supports several free-ranging herds, including introduced plains bison and reintroduced wood bison. A mature bull can stand around 6 feet at the shoulder and weigh more than a ton. Bison often appear calm because they spend long periods feeding, standing, or moving slowly across open country. But stillness is not permission. A bison can accelerate quickly, change direction with surprising agility, and cover short distances faster than a person can react. Horns can produce deep wounds, while the animal's weight can throw, crush, or trample someone. The Alaska encounter risk is lower than it is in crowded parks farther south. The herds are limited to certain regions, and many people will never enter their range. But hunters, rural residents, farm workers, and travelers near herd areas can still meet an animal with no reason to tolerate a close approach. The most dangerous situations involve calves, the breeding season, obstructed movement, wounded animals, or someone trying to shorten the distance for a photograph. There is no realistic way to outrun a charging bison at close range. Bison take 10th place because the chance of an encounter is limited, but the consequences of misreading one can be severe. An animal weighing more than a small car does not need to look angry before you give it space. At number 9, the danger is almost invisible. The Arctic fox is small, curious, and often beautiful enough to make people lower their guard. Across northern and western Alaska, foxes may investigate villages, camps, dumps, fish remains, airstrips, and dog yards. Most are healthy animals looking for an easy meal. But Arctic fox populations are also connected to Alaska's rabies cycle. A fox infected with rabies may lose its normal caution. It may move strangely, approach people or dogs, bite without the usual warning, or remain active in a place where a healthy fox would retreat. The animal itself may weigh only a few pounds. The disease changes everything. Rabies can be prevented when medical treatment begins promptly after an exposure. Once symptoms develop, however, the disease is almost always fatal. That turns any suspicious bite or scratch into an emergency, especially in a remote area where reaching medical care may require an aircraft or hours of travel. Dogs create another route of exposure. A fox attracted to a dog yard may start a fight, placing pets, handlers, and anyone who intervenes at risk. This does not mean every fox near a community has rabies. It means unusual behavior should never be rewarded with food, close photographs, or an attempt to touch the animal. The Arctic fox takes 9th place. In Alaska, danger does not always arrive as a large shadow. Sometimes it looks calm, curious, and small enough to pick up. The first 5 animals on this list were dangerous mainly in narrow circumstances. A mythical predator almost nobody sees. A horned animal on a ledge. A giant sea lion on a dock. A bison in a limited range. A fox carrying a rare but deadly disease. From here, the encounters become more serious. The next animals have killed people, overturned boats, entered communities, or placed large numbers of travelers into the same corridors they use. At number 8, we return to an animal people have feared for generations, the gray wolf. Wolves live across much of Alaska. They are intelligent, social predators, capable of bringing down moose and caribou, and that capability naturally creates fear. But the real record is important. Healthy wild wolves rarely act aggressively toward humans. Thousands of people live, work, hunt, camp, and travel in wolf country without being attacked. In most encounters, the wolf notices the person first and disappears. Rare does not mean impossible. In 2010, a woman was killed by wolves near Chignik Lake in rural Alaska. Investigators concluded that healthy wild wolves were responsible. It was only the second confirmed case in modern North America of healthy wild wolves killing a person. That event matters because it proves the risk is real, but it should not be used to pretend that every wolf encounter is the beginning of an attack. The warning signs are more specific. A wolf that repeatedly enters camps, follows people, approaches dogs, ignores attempts to scare it away, or loses its normal caution deserves immediate concern. Food, garbage, and pets can all increase the chance of repeated contact. Running may trigger pursuit. A dog may attract a wolf and then retreat toward its owner. The gray wolf takes 8th place because the probability of attack is extremely low. But an animal or pack that does become aggressive has the speed, endurance, and coordination to create a very serious situation. The wolf is not dangerous because every encounter becomes a hunt. It is dangerous because the rare encounter that changes direction may change very quickly. At number 7, we move on to sea ice, barrier islands, beaches, and coastal haulouts, where Alaska's largest marine mammal on this list gathers in enormous groups. The Pacific walrus. A large male can approach 2 tons. Females can weigh more than half that. Both have thick hide, enormous upper body strength, and tusks capable of causing devastating injuries. Walruses use their tusks to pull themselves onto ice, maintain space, and defend themselves. In water, they are strong and surprisingly mobile. On land or ice, the danger can involve the entire herd. A crowded haulout is a mass of animals pressed close together. When aircraft, boats, people, predators, or sudden noise disturb them, panic can spread through the group. Animals may rush toward the water, crushing smaller walruses and placing anything between the herd and the sea in an impossible position. Females may also defend calves. Hunters working from small boats or traveling on ice operate in the same environment, often far from rescue and medical care. For most visitors, walruses present almost no direct risk because most visitors will never be close enough. For coastal residents and subsistence hunters, the calculation is different. A capsize in freezing water, a tusk injury, or a charge from an animal weighing thousands of pounds can become fatal before help arrives. The Pacific walrus takes 7th place. It may appear slow on shore, but when a herd starts moving, the safest path is never the one leading between the animals and the water. At number 6, the danger does not come from a predator. It comes from migration, darkness, and Alaska's roads. The caribou is one of the great symbols of the North. Alaska supports many herds moving across tundra, forest, river valleys, mountain passes, and transportation corridors. Most caribou avoid people. Direct attacks are uncommon. But real human risk includes the road. Caribou may cross highways alone or in groups. They can appear during fog, blowing snow, long winter darkness, or the low light of dawn and dusk. A driver may focus on the first animal and miss the rest of the herd following behind it. At highway speed, even an animal that never turns toward a person can become deadly. A collision can send the animal across the hood, destroy the windshield, force a vehicle into another lane, or cause a rollover far from emergency services. Adult bulls add another risk during the rut. Their antlers are large, and their behavior becomes less predictable. Hunters approaching a wounded caribou may also discover that an animal that appears finished can still move with explosive force. Caribou take 6th place because they are widespread, mobile, and capable of creating danger without showing aggression. A caribou does not need to charge a person. It only needs to step into the road at the wrong second. And now the ranking changes again. The remaining 5 animals combine documented deaths with close overlap around trails, dog yards, villages, salmon streams, homes, and highways. At this point, the question is no longer whether the animal is physically capable of killing a person. Alaska has already shown that it can. At number 5 is the American black bear. Black bears occupy large areas of Alaska and regularly overlap with roads, trails, cabins, campsites, towns, berry patches, and salmon streams. Most black bears avoid confrontation. Many encounters end as soon as the animal finds an escape route. But black bear attacks can follow a pattern that makes them especially disturbing. Some are predatory. A defensive bear may react suddenly because it is surprised, protecting food, or trying to create distance. A predatory bear may approach quietly, follow a person, circle a camp, or continue closing the distance even when it has room to leave. In June 2017, Alaska recorded 2 fatal black bear attacks within days. A 16-year-old runner was killed near Bird Ridge after reporting that a bear was chasing him. The next day, a worker collecting soil samples near the Pogo mine was killed by another black bear. The attacks were highly unusual. That is exactly why they changed the way many people think about the species. A black bear is not a harmless version of a grizzly. It is a powerful, wild animal with claws, speed, and enough strength to kill an adult human. Food conditioning adds another danger. Garbage, coolers, fish waste, pet food, and unsecured cabins can teach a bear that human spaces contain calories. Once a bear stops avoiding people, future encounters become harder to predict. Color is not a reliable guide either. Black bears can be brown, cinnamon, or even lighter. Behavior matters more than the name. The black bear takes 5th place because most encounters remain peaceful, but Alaska has recorded rare predatory attacks that were deliberate, sudden, and fatal. A black bear does not need to roar or charge to communicate danger. Sometimes, the clearest warning is that it keeps coming closer without making a sound. At number 4, we travel to western and northern Alaska, where an Ice Age survivor lives near camps, airports, roads, homes, cemeteries, and dog yards, the muskox. A muskox is built low to the ground beneath a coat of long hair. Its skull is heavy, its horns curve downward and outward, and its body is designed to stand against cold, wind, and predators. Muskoxen often look passive. Unlike caribou, they may not run when approached. When threatened, they may stand their ground, form a defensive line, or face the danger directly. That behavior protected them from wolves for thousands of years. It also creates a dangerous misunderstanding around people. Someone may assume that an animal standing still is relaxed. In reality, it may already be stressed and deciding whether to charge. Spring and autumn increase the risk. Cows protect newborn calves in spring. Bulls become more aggressive during the breeding season. Dogs are one of the most important triggers. A barking or chasing dog resembles a predator. The muskox may respond defensively, and the dog may then run back toward its owner, bringing the animal into a yard, kennel, or group of people. In December 2022, an Alaska Court Services officer was killed near Nome during an encounter with a muskox outside a dog kennel. The death showed how quickly local familiarity can become dangerous when dogs, defensive behavior, and close distance combine. Alaska wildlife guidance is unusually direct about a charge. Do not stand your ground. Run, create distance, and get a solid object, such as a building or vehicle, between yourself and the animal. That advice reveals how different muskox behavior is from the behavior people expect from deer. The muskox takes 4th place because it can live near communities, reacts strongly to dogs, stands rather than flees, and carries enough mass and horn power to kill at close range. It does not need a long pursuit. One short charge is enough. At number 3, we reach the largest bear species on Earth, the polar bear. A large adult male may weigh well over 1,000 pounds. Its body is built to detect, approach, overpower, and consume seals in an open environment with very little cover. That hunting biology matters around people. A brown bear may attack because it is surprised, defending cubs, or guarding food. A polar bear may investigate a human as potential prey. Most people in Alaska will never enter polar bear country. The risk is concentrated in northern and western coastal communities, sea ice travel routes, camps, and industrial sites. But for the people who live and work there, the danger is not theoretical. In January 2023, a polar bear entered the village of Wales during severe weather. It chased residents and killed a 24-year-old mother and her 1-year-old son near the community school. The attack was Alaska's first fatal polar bear incident in more than 30 years. The storm made the situation worse. Blowing snow reduced visibility. The bear approached through a white landscape where one of the largest predators on Earth could remain unseen until it was dangerously close. The animal also tried to enter the school while residents rushed inside. That detail shows why a polar bear encounter is different from almost every other wildlife situation on this list. There may be no tree to climb, no dense forest to break the line of sight, and no safe distance once the animal reaches the center of a small community. Polar bears usually avoid people, and fatal attacks remain extremely rare. Their limited range prevents them from taking the top position. But range is the only thing holding them at number 3. In size, predatory ability, persistence, and the consequences of a close encounter, very few animals in Alaska are more dangerous. The polar bear takes 3rd place. In flat white country, the largest predator in the Arctic does not need darkness to disappear. It only needs weather. At number 2 is the animal most visitors imagine when they hear the words Alaska danger: the brown bear, including the grizzly. Alaska is home to all 3 North American bear species, but brown bears dominate much of the state's danger mythology for a reason. They live along salmon streams, coastal sedge flats, berry slopes, forests, tundra, mountain valleys, and the edges of communities. A large coastal brown bear can be much heavier than an inland grizzly, but even a smaller adult has enough speed and strength to overpower a person in seconds. Brown bears are not normally searching for humans. The danger comes from circumstances that erase distance. A hiker enters thick brush beside a noisy stream. An angler rounds a bend near a bear feeding on salmon. A hunter approaches a carcass. A person moves between a mother and cubs. A bear guards food that the person cannot see. Then the encounter begins at the distance where it should have ended. Brown bears can accelerate faster than their size suggests, and run far faster than a human. At short range, a person may have only seconds to recognize the situation, access bear spray, and respond. Alaska has recorded fatal brown bear attacks involving hikers, hunters, workers, campers, photographers, and people traveling through remote country. Many of these attacks were defensive rather than predatory. That distinction matters for prevention, but it does not reduce the injuries. A defensive brown bear may bite the head and face, break bones, tear muscle, and continue until the perceived threat no longer moves. If the attack ends, the victim may still be hours from a road or hospital. Isolation amplifies every injury in Alaska. A wound that might be survivable near emergency care becomes more dangerous when rescue requires a helicopter, aircraft, boat, or long overland trip. That is why preparation matters before the bear appears. Make noise where visibility is limited. Travel in a group when possible. Keep food, garbage, fish, and carcasses controlled. Carry bear spray where it can be reached immediately, not buried inside a pack. Give feeding bears, cubs, and carcasses an enormous amount of space. And never run. The brown bear takes 2nd place because it combines widespread habitat, repeated overlap with outdoor activity, extraordinary physical power, and a long record of serious and fatal encounters. It is Alaska's most dangerous predator, but it is not the animal that creates the greatest total risk across the state. And now we reach number 1. Not the largest carnivore, not the most dedicated hunter, not the animal people picture when they buy bear spray before an Alaska trip. The most dangerous animal in Alaska, ranked by real human risk, is the moose. That answer can sound almost ridiculous after wolves, polar bears, and grizzlies. It stops sounding ridiculous when exposure enters the calculation. Moose are prevalent through most of Alaska. They share low river valleys, roads, neighborhoods, parks, trails, yards, ski routes, villages, and winter travel corridors with people. Someone may live in Alaska for years without seeing a polar bear. They may see a moose while taking out the garbage. And a moose is not an oversized, gentle deer. An adult can weigh well over 1,000 pounds. Its long legs end in hard, sharp hooves. It can accelerate quickly, kick in several directions, and continue stomping after a person falls. The dangerous situations are predictable, but people still enter them. Cows defend newborn calves in spring. Bulls become less predictable during the autumn rut. Hungry, exhausted animals can become irritable during severe winter conditions. Dogs may bark, chase, or approach, trigger a defensive response, and then run back toward their owners. People also misread the warnings. A moose may lay its ears back, raise the hair along its neck, lower its head, lick its lips, or begin walking directly toward the threat. That is not curiosity. It is not an invitation to take one more photograph. It means the animal has decided the distance is no longer acceptable. In May 2024, a 70-year-old nature photographer near Homer was killed during an encounter with a cow moose protecting newborn calves. He understood wildlife, knew the area, and still had almost no time when the animal charged from brush. The case showed that experience reduces risk, but it cannot eliminate surprise. And the greatest moose danger may not happen on a trail at all. It happens on the road. Moose vehicle collisions are a major hazard in Alaska, especially during winter and low light. A moose's dark body can disappear against the road. Its long legs place the torso near windshield height. When a vehicle strikes one, the body may come across the hood and into the passenger compartment. In August 2025, a 24-year-old driver was killed and his passenger injured after their vehicle struck a moose near the entrance to Denali National Park at around 1 in the morning. The animal did not attack. The result was still a fatal wildlife encounter. That is the central idea behind this entire ranking. Real human risk is larger than predation. It includes the animal's size, behavior, distribution, proximity to people, and the number of opportunities for one moment to go wrong. The moose has the body weight to crush a person, the hooves to kill at close range, the speed to punish someone who approaches too closely, the defensive instinct to confront dogs and protect calves, and the statewide presence to create danger on roads, trails, in neighborhoods, and outside homes. A brown bear may be more terrifying. A polar bear may be more predatory. A wolf pack may be more cinematic. But people across Alaska are far more likely to share space with a moose than with any of them. That is why the moose takes first place. The most dangerous animal in Alaska is not necessarily the animal ruling the wilderness somewhere beyond the horizon. It may be the animal standing beside the road, outside the house, or hidden around the next blind corner. Those are 13 of Alaska's most dangerous animals ranked by real human risk. Not only by teeth, not only by size, and not only by the animals that dominate stories about the North. Alaska is dangerous because people and wildlife meet in places with very little room for error. A narrow trail, a dark highway, a salmon stream, a coastal village, a dog yard, a remote camp hours from medical help. Some risks are rare but catastrophic. Others become so familiar that people stop respecting them. And that may be the most important lesson from Alaska. The animal people fear most is not always the animal they are most likely to meet. If you think another Alaska animal deserved a place in the ranking, leave your choice in the comments. And tell me which state should be next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.